Hello and welcome back to your only Accies preview for this weekend's game against Arbroath. As always, though, let's talk about our last game. A 1-1 draw against Ayr, and it was a Kerr McInroy wonder strike in the 90th minute that meant we walked away with 1 point instead of the 3. Brandon, there was something you mentioned on Twitter I'm interested to get your thoughts on, as you described it as kind of Accies of old, the Accies that we haven't seen in the last few games, popped back to getting the 1-0 lead, sitting back, kind of soaking up pressure and not pressing them high as we have done previous games. So what did you make of it?
It was extremely frustrating, mate. Started the game on the front foot massively. And when you see the way in which we've started, you think, oh, we're going to get the victory because we were playing really good football, we were pressing, we were attacking them. We score. And then I'd say maybe 10 minutes after that, there was still a good press from us. We were still playing nice football. But then for the remainder of the match, 70 minutes, we completely dropped the intensity. We were very deep. Obviously, in the second half, we were far more deeper. But no, it was just really frustrating because Ayr didn't really threaten us the full match. Obviously, it's a wonder goal from McInroy, who I think I said to you at the game, everything that was remotely positive from Ayr was all coming through McInroy, in my opinion. But it was just disappointing because it was Accies of old. We've lost another goal in the dying minutes of the game. I don't know how many points we've dropped from 85 plus minutes. I'd like to know that stat, if I'm honest, because it's just not good enough. We should be seeing games out. We shouldn't be going deep for 70 minutes of a game, especially against people that are worse off teams than us, you'd say. I could maybe understand going a bit deeper against your Kellys or whatnot if you're winning, but going deep against a team that's below you in the league for such a long period of time, it just wasn't good enough. It was the Accies of old, the start of Taylor's reign. We didn't look confident as well. I think we got what we deserved.
Yeah, and I totally agree. That's what I said in the video, is ultimately, I think we can all agree the Ayr goal was coming. It was going to come eventually with the amount of pressure they had on us. And I'm actually surprised it never came earlier. I really am. As you said, they weren't creating too many clear-cut chances. It was just a lot of half chances that we were dealing with, but you could kind of sense that it had that overwhelming feeling of something is going to happen here, and ultimately it ended up happening. Another goal for Andy Winter, though, if you want to put a positive spin on it, 3-3 for him now, and it's another wonderful finish.
That was a brilliant finish again. The boys obviously losing confidence, and quite rightly so. He's shown what he can do when you play him up top. But then again, after we go 1-0 up, we sort of resort to that deep sort of playing wide and Winter out in the wings as sort of defensive wingers, and he quite rightly get hooked off because he was so ineffective when he moved to that position. It's clearly not his position, but that's not really his fault. I don't know if he's getting told that we're winning now, let's resort back to this formation, this setup. But these players aren't as effective, and aren't as good when you play them there. He started the first 20 minutes well, but then he was non-existent for the remainder of the game.
You talked about him getting taken off. I'm interested in your opinion on that, because something somebody said online, it seemed to get kind of an overwhelming agreement with, as it was him getting taken off and Martin getting brought on that kind of caused us to drop even deeper. I said in the video that I actually thought it was the smart move. I said that we needed to make a sub, and given the way the game was going, I said you would be taking off one of your front men and bringing on a Scott Martin in midfield just to kind of shore that up, especially that Lawson and Spence, they looked knackered kind of anywhere after that kind of 70th minute mark. But what did you make of, do you think that was the it's weird to say in hindsight now we ended up conceding, but do you think that was the right sub, or do you think it ultimately was one of the reasons we dropped off even further?
I think it's one of the reasons we dropped off even further. I understand the logic behind it. He wanted to maybe compact the midfield even more than what it already was. But I just feel it's when we drop into that sort of that setup in which we dropped off into that we were far less ineffective. Ayr weren't they weren't giving us hassle whatsoever. So my sub at that point of time would have been Martin for Spence, because I thought Spence had one of his worst games in a very long time.
And David, obviously you weren't able to see the game live, but watching it from home and kind of seeing the updates of it, what did you make of it when you saw the 90th minute goal?
But 70 minutes on, I knew it was going to come, because I just don't understand. Like, Brandon touched at the start, his point was we press so well in all these games where this has happened. Like, the start of the game were relentless, and we eventually get that first goal. We just don't, it's as if we're not interested in scoring a second goal. Like, why would you not want a game to be dead and buried? So when we get to the 70 minutes, you just know we're not going to score again, and then it's how long can we hold on? And I'm not even kidding on it. I've seen it coming. Like, how many times it's going to be? You're like, it's just going to happen. These are things that we need to just absolutely get out of our system. It does look like we settle for that one goal, and we want to sit on that. And it's just, I just don't understand that at all. I'm sure there's more to it that's way beyond my understanding, but I just don't understand why in that first half you wouldn't look to add to that straight away. You know what I mean? Because they do say, like, once you can see one, you're vulnerable to concede again. Fuck, we've done it that many times. So,
we clearly show that we're capable of this pressing that we show at the beginning of matches. When we get that first goal, we're playing against teams that aren't even giving us any sort of jip whatsoever. So why we're resorting back, or we're making our set up far more deeper, and why we're resorting playing players in positions where they're clearly not as effective in which they are when we're scoring the goals. It just makes zero sense to me.
It's genuinely like it's against their philosophy to do that. I mean, in this, at the 0-0 period, we absolutely boss possession. It's press after press after press, and then we invite them on and give them the ball there. Like, I just don't understand it at all. It really just seems backwards to me. But it's things we need to get out of our system.
Do you think, is that down to the mentality of the manager? Do you think that's what, maybe not deliberately, but is that the mentality that maybe they're putting into it? Because the reason I ask this is because people have questioned Stuart Taylor's mentality for a while now. And there was an article that came out today as of filming, which is Wednesday night, saying he wants to create a more positive atmosphere, not just on the pitch, but at the club as a whole. And it came under a little bit of scrutiny from fans, kind of saying that how can you create a positive atmosphere, a positive attitude when you sit back at 1-0 down. So do you think that is down to Stuart Taylor's mentality? Is that what he's put into the team? Or
the only argument you could probably make on Taylor's behalf at the moment, and again, it's an easy excuse to take at the moment, is it's not completely his squad yet. So he might feel that he can't. I don't agree with it, but he might not trust the players to go on and get that second goal, which again we've just explained how that seems to be backwards to us. But it might be that he doesn't trust the squad, and he feels that he might need to have. Because this was something that I was thinking about after the Twitter space on Sunday, that about giving Stuart Taylor time, and you hear it all the time with football, is you can't really completely judge a manager until he's had kind of 2 windows, 3 windows to have his full squad in and the kind of players. So he might sit back and say he doesn't trust the squad to do that. I don't personally agree with that, but it's baffling. That's why you're coming up with these weird theories, because I really don't understand it. I don't understand it because, like we've just covered, we've been dominant at times. And it's then given the opposition the opportunity to come back into it.
We just don't kill games off, and it just shows that I don't know if David's saying if it's the lack of believing in these players, but look how many we've got good attacking players. We've got players that have shown that they can score goals, and we are capable when we actually go into games with more of an attacking mindset. So why not just utilise that? We're not exactly playing the best of teams, but we should be one of the better teams in the league. So we should be attacking these teams. We should be putting the game to bed. I keep going on about it, but they're not exactly the high standard of teams. So we should really be just finishing the game off, going and scoring a goal, scoring another one, and just we're capable of it, and it's frustrating. So I don't get this positive thing at all. Talking about putting a positive spin to the actual full club, I mean, good luck to them. I think people have tried to sort of work with the club and sort of make things positive, but I think it's just it falls on deaf ears at all. I really hope he's wrong, because it's something I think quite a lot of people, including myself and you, David, have tried to do, and it just seems to be a sort of evolving cycle where it just doesn't happen. I hope I'm wrong. And
That's the year, man. Not to go off on a crazy tangent, but like, all the best wishes in the world, but you've yet to see any perseverance with this kind of thing. So it's usually the in between the season period where all these ideas come out and all these wishes and all this kind of stuff. But it's about persevering. Once the results start getting bad, that's when these kind of things hush down a wee bit. So, like you said, you wait and hope, but it's just one of the things. It's just you need to be prepared to do it, whether good or bad. Like Brandon said, good luck, and let's hope they do make more of an effort with that kind of thing. But I'm more interested on the park, if anything. So that's the only thing that kind of will kind of lead to again a domino effect in the right way.
Yep, well, let's look ahead then to our next game that we've got coming up. It's at home to Arbroath. Arbroath obviously sitting second in the table, still fighting for that title spot. It doesn't look like they're going to get it now. Kelly have pulled away slightly, but it's still a possibility, so they'll still be fighting for every result. Looking at the last 5 games, we have exactly the same form as Arbroath. One loss, 2 wins, 2 draws. So we're sitting pretty similar form-wise, but we know how these game goes. We've yet to beat Arbroath this season. Could we pull it off? Could we pull off? I suppose it would be classed as a shock result, given where we sit in the table. David, do you think are you feeling confident ahead of the game?
That result at the weekend there kind of took stuffing out me a wee bit, where, like, it's not that I was hopeful we're going to get playoffs, because even then, the worst case scenario in the world for me was if we ever did get the playoff and for whatever miracle somehow went up, the club would be thinking they're doing things right and would just be lambs to the slaughter in the Premier League again. Like, we're nowhere near being where we need to be going forward yet. So it did kind of knock the stuffing at me, though, that was kind of like your season over. There's still a lot of games left. A point that Brandon made is, I mean, you're saying there it could be a shock result if we beat Arbroath. In all fairness, Arbroath have been great this year. There was obviously the result that won't be discussed at the start of the season where they absolutely pumped us. But when you mention a point Brandon made about some of the quality of some of the opponents I mean, we've not beat Ayr United at all this season, and I've yet to be impressed by them. That's kind of highlights a point I've said all season, where 9 times out of 10 the results, if we've been beaten this season, it's down to us more than the opponent. There's only been, I'd say, a couple of occasions where we've actually been well beaten. This game going forward, I don't really know how I feel about it at the moment. It's a kind of nothing game.
As we're speaking, Dunfermline are winning.
Oh, really?
I mean, there's 4 games left after this game. Dunfermline are only 7 points behind us, so we're not out of it yet by any means. Is what I would say. I know mathematically we're practically near enough there, but 7 points with the form Dunfermline are practically on there now. We're not out of it. Do you know what I mean? We could easily go and not pick up. You'd like to think we'd pick up a few points between now and the end of the season, but we could very much know. And then there we go. We're in a relegation playoff, so we're by no means out of this. So I think we won those 2 games, and then we thought that's us out of it. And then if we won that game on Friday, 100% would have practically mathematically been impossible because of teams playing each other, etc. But we're not now. And that's why losing that late goal was such a big blow. And I thought about we're looking to see who we can catch. Don't let them kid you. That's just that's media talk. They very much well know that they need to pick up points. They need to pick up wins, and I do honestly think that air last minute will knock their confidence massively. Concede a goal like that when you're like so close to like sort of confirm your safety. You confirm your safety, it means the club can start planning. You know if you're going to be safe for next year or no, but players are going to be, there'll be a bit of nerves there as well. Do you know what I mean? So we go into this game where, don't get me wrong, since rankings came in, there hasn't been a lot of matches we've lost. I think it's since ranking came in, we spoke about it last week, was it 3 we've lost? I think it was
3 we've lost, yeah.
2 against Kilmarnock and 1 against Dunfermline. Don't quote me on that.
No.
I think that's what it was. So we've not lost a huge amount of games. All games have been really close in that, but we need to go into this game and we need to take something from it. Arbroath have had a sort of dip in form, and I think a lot of people did expect that to happen, but we really need to get points to secure our safety because it's not confirmed as of yet.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the next games we've got up, obviously we've got Arbroath, we've got Morton, we've got Wraith Rovers, and we've got Inverness. So it's not as if, and again, no disrespect, it's not as if we're playing Queen of the South again, where you would expect us to pick up points. You know, I think sitting here right now, I'd be happy with a draw on Saturday. You're looking to hopefully win, obviously, the Morton game. Wraith Rovers, you probably take a point, and then Inverness, they're on a wee upturn of form, and I was well away from home too. So, as Brandon said, every point's a prisoner at this stage, even for us who you would think, and it's been said, I think I said it in the video, we're kind of sitting, you feel comfortable, you feel pretty safe, but as Brandon said, as it sits right now, Dunfermline are winning 1-0, and that cuts it to 7 points, and with 4 games left, everything could change. So I'm still confident we'll stay up, but as Brandon said, given the 90th minute goal for Ayr, it has knocked that confidence quite a bit. I'm quite happy to, I'm quite honest to say. In terms of like how we would line up and all that, like I said, we don't want to kind of go on like a broken record every week we talk about this. I would only make one change, and it would be Martin in for Spence. As Brandon said, I think Spence had a poor game, not his best. He looked knackered after about 60 minutes. I think Martin's building his match fitness up again. I don't know if you would get 90 minutes out of him. I doubt it. But if you can get him going for even, say, 60 minutes and then bring Spence on for the latter half of the game, that's the only change I would make from that. Not to sound like Stuart Taylor, but giving them a chance maybe to redeem the poorer performance against Ayr.
I think the last time in which we played Arbroath, we got it spot on to a T. Last time, I think it was a 5-3-2 we played last time. This time around, I would go with, like you said, I would go for a 5-2-1-2. I think Winter and Ryan can do a good job of sort of switching around, sort of changing positions with each other as the game goes on. I do think that Arbroath, although they might be second in the league, they're still not, they're miles ahead of us. They're not exactly a far superior team. So we do have the ability to go slightly attacking. So I would go with the exact same team as what you've said there. 3 up top / 2 up top with 1 behind them, sort of helping the midfield slightly. And then you've got your 2 wing backs who are going to get forward, and they'll add as a sort of safety net as well for the defence too. So I think we just go with that, in my opinion. I don't think we go back to our -1 up top. It's clearly not worked all season.
I think the big thing that I would probably do want to take away for these games coming up now is I'd just like some assurances going into next season. So start get rid of these bad habits that we went over. I'd love to use these games to actually do that, so that there is a bit of confidence going into a new season. Because again, we'll probably talk about it in a later podcast as well, but we're not going to be favourites for the league next year either. Like I say, any team coming down for the SPL, which it looks like it'll definitely be Dundee, they're always going to be prepared to spend more money than us.
We smirk there from Brandon when you said that.
But it's the fact. So we've said a million times, this season's been down to lack of preparation. So I want to start getting these habits out of our system, and these games are perfect for that, because it's not going to be long before it's next season again, and we start with the League Cup, and I don't want that to be another wasted opportunity again, like it's been for the last how many years.
Kind of sort of touching your point, and it sort of goes back in something that we've mentioned time and time again. The thing that really pissed me off about the Ayr game was if we'd won that, practically we'd have secured our safety, and then it was like mathematically impossible. We could have then went into, we could have had a bit of positivity within the sort of ranks, because they're not going to sign players up the new when we're not safe.
Mhm.
See how we mathematically make it impossible for us to get in, because like I just said there's only 7 points in it. We're not out of it at all now. Because how good would it be just for everyone and to get a bit of positivity for, let's say we confirmed that we're going to be in the champions next season, and then that was a knock-on effect, and they announced a new deal for, like, to give Popescu a deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all these players that are going to be there next season, we keep going on about how we go into game seasons so ill prepared, and it's failing to prepare, which ultimately has made us so poor in the past seasons. And that's what annoyed me about the Ayr game, because I do feel like if we had won that game, we might have saw something with regards to players for next season, maybe being touted a bit more. Now we're going to need to wait a few weeks for that now, which is frustrating. But we talked on Taylor talking about positivity amongst what more can they do than give the fans clearly what they want. And that will add to the apparent positive vibe that he wants to have around. And we can only hope that's the case, because we need to, if we want to be in with a chance next season, we need to make sure that we're fully prepared. He says that's going to be the case, so let's see if it happens.
Definitely. Well, let's wrap us up then and get our score predictions for the weekend. Brandon, let's start with you. How do you see this one going?
1-0 Arbroath.
Okay, David?
1-0 Arbroath. Genuinely.
I'm not going to make it 3-3. I'll say 1 each. I'll be very, very happy with a draw. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but yeah, I'll go 1 each. All right. Well, as always, David, you mentioned it previously, our Twitter Spaces. Thanks again to those who joined us. There'll be a link in the description to follow our Twitter. If you do that, you'll get notified when we go live pretty much every Sunday night at 7 o'clock to discuss the game and any other news that's popping up. So you can do that by clicking the link in the description. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you after the game.